sell. Now look, we ain't taking no L's. God say go, then it won't fail. Now look, we ain't taking no L's. What did you think? I run dry when my supply is the king. I run high, deny and sign with the beast. I wouldn't ride or die for what I believe. Please, you might could try me and see what you think I'd like for 500 G's. When I could get by and still I provide for my seed. Never having to feed yours when mine wouldn't eat. Real one, play it for a hater. All day, rub it in their face like makeup. Hit the block with the rock like a layup. Ever since no hate dropped the stock being well. I never gotta sell out. Trust God, you ain't gotta go the hell route. Everybody with the bag and you just might get it. But it's God over money and you just might miss it. Let's go. Mercy, know it so well. Could've wrote this from a cold cell. Now I'm praying on the floor of my hotel. Riding on the devil, taking no L's. They said don't do it cause it won't sell. Now look, we ain't taking no L's. God say go, then it won't fail. Now look, we ain't taking no L's.
GOM and we glow timing. Going way up like gas prices under Joe Biden. I got God in my soul climbing. If the devil gon' run up on me, I'ma clothesline him. Clutch moments and I don't choke. Yeah, I ain't taking no L's like I don't smoke. Whoa, doing bangers for the lost souls. I keep going like the preacher said he finished, but he won't close. Told him I ain't taking no L's. Holy Spirit knocking repeatedly, ringing bells. I was running from him, I wasn't afraid of hell. Now we laying hands on the managers at hotels. The Holy Spirit just failed. Shit, this wrong word, that's a knee slapper. Lie on me again, you a recapper. Stick to the vine, I'm a tree sapper. Stay on my lane like a street hazard.
Mercy, know it so well. Could've wrote this from a cold cell. Now I'm praying on the floor of my hotel. Riding on the devil, taking no L's. They said don't do it cause it won't sell. Now look, we ain't taking no L's. God say go, then it won't fail. Now look, we ain't taking no L's.
God over money, God over money, God over money, God over money, God over cash, God over plans, God over money, God over money. It ain't hard, all you gotta do is trust God. It ain't hard, all you gotta do is trust God. It ain't hard, all you gotta do is trust God. It ain't hard, all you gotta do is trust God. Another level, we gon' ride on the devil. What? Another level, we gon' ride on the devil now. Another level, we gon' ride on the devil. Let's go. Another level, we gon' ride on the devil. Oh, we go to work, we go to work, we go to work, we go to work now. We go to work, we go to work, we go to work. God over money now.
Everybody looking for the free throw, show shot.
Lights off, transparency on. Late night marriage with the richest. Late night marriage with the richest. You need that real talk, this is what you want. Lights off, transparency on. Let's go.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, fam? Welcome to Late Night Marriage with the Riches. I am Damon Rich.
And I am Tamika Rich.
I'm going to see if I can stay in this doggone hot robe because my wife turned off the fan in here before stay in this robe for the whole show. So either the show going to get cut short or something going to happen. I
tried to get him to put on something other than the hot robe.
Yeah, this ridiculous right here. It's a nice robe. It's comfortable. My wife brought it for me. I don't really wear my robe, but yeah, we gonna do what we do tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight. First, we want to open up with hey, thank you. Hey, what's going on, Angela?
Hey,
thank you for tapping in with Team Rich tonight. Normally we would cut off the Facebook. We're gonna just leave everything on tonight. But listen, first, we want to just open up for a minute. Our guest, Miss Erica J. Holton of Honey Love Academy, was a little under the weather. She's not feeling well. We're praying for you, Erica, and hope that you are feeling better so we can get you on the show because these single women were ready to hear what you have to drop from Honey Love Academy. But we didn't want to put any confusion out there about whether the show was canceled or not or whatever. So we're going to change the program. We're going to just change the program. Y'all know we're going to have a good time anyway, regardless. But when Miss Erica J. Holton of the Honey Love Academy pops on, y'all gonna enjoy that. Y'all gonna enjoy it. So listen, make sure if you have any questions, any thoughts, drop them in the comments. And we kind of gonna be freestyling a little bit tonight. We've been busy and going and talking and doing a whole bunch of stuff, but we're gonna freestyle a little bit tonight.
Yes.
I want to cover a couple of different things tonight.
Okay.
I want to hit on. Whew, let's get into it. The first thing I kind of want to talk about tonight, what I want to get into, is I was having a conversation with someone recently.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I ought to dim the lights for this one. Yeah, there we go. Because them lights burning my eyes too. I was talking to somebody recently, and they brought up a thought. And their thought was, or not even their thought, their statement was, is they had been through marriage before,
Mm-hmm.
and they had met somebody that they think they want to do marriage with again,
Mm-hmm.
but they are scared of marriage. They're scared of marriage. And we talked about a lot of different things about what happened in their first marriage, what has them scared of marriage. And I just thought that that was a really interesting perspective because I didn't think about that people are scared of marriage. Now, there's a conversation out there that men are no longer interested in marriage. And it's actually a woman who wrote an article that says marriage is a bad deal for men. Marriage is not a good deal for men. And there's some points that she makes that are somewhat valid from the perspective and the context that she takes them.
Mm-hmm.
So she talks about it from this perspective. So I want to let's go through a journey. And let's just say this is a real good some holy folks. They ain't tipped out, they ain't did nothing, at least prior to marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So they get married, and say that in this instance the man is the pure provider. And what I mean by pure provider, the woman works, she contributes, but her contribution are not necessarily financial. So let's say that that's the case.
Okay.
And he's the primary financial. They have good money, they buy a good home, they have a couple of kids, and everything is going swimmingly for about 7 or 8 years. Let's say that that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
And then she becomes unhappy, or he becomes unhappy. Either way, the marriage seems to start falling apart. And at some point, she files for divorce because we know statistically, for whatever the reason, women file for divorce more often than men.
Mm-hmm.
When she files for divorce, he's going to potentially lose 50%. He's going to lose half the access to his kids. He's going to lose a whole house. And depending on how much money they were making, he's probably going to end up paying not only child support, but alimony.
Mm-hmm.
What does the woman lose in that instance? For men,
Mm-hmm.
marriage is getting scarier because the courts favor the women. The courts favor women in parenting. They usually get the custody. You do split custody, but the custodial parent is usually the mom. The courts favor her on finances.
Mm-hmm.
The courts will give her money to take care of the kids as well as to continue to live at or around the lifestyle that she was living when they were together. What does the man get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we understand that aspect of fear from men or being scared of marriage. Because in today's society, women are starting to become major breadwinners.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're becoming major breadwinners, they're starting to suffer some of the consequences, at least on the financial part. Right?
Right.
So I understand why men may be afraid of marriage from there. But as I was talking to this individual, that is not where their fear was. their fear had to do more with being able to be in a marriage that is reasonable, where they can work through conflicts without the family of the bride being in the middle of their business.
Hmm.
And they don't know if they can deal with that again.
Right. Right. Well, I think that's definitely a conversation that they would have to have up front and ahead of time, and definitely set those boundaries. You
But
know.
this is the thing. They
Mhm.
thought they set those boundaries the first time.
Mhm. And then kind of just pay attention. I think when you're with somebody, somebody, getting to know their family as much as you can before marriage, depends on how long your date or courtship might be, and then watch their actions and their
I hear you, but
their
people say a whole bunch of stuff, just like
right. No, I'm not just saying
Mhm.
what they say, like what they do, their interactions. So I'm not saying just what people say, but what people do. So it's if they're already in your business or saying things or doing things before, and even before you set boundaries, don't just think those things are going to go away or stop.
But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people, here's the justification, and you know how I go. Don't give a wife husband a girlfriend husband or wife privileges,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So in that point, they're like, I'm not finna turn on my family. You ain't even committed to me. Why would I do that?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be different when we get married, but then it doesn't change
Yeah, it just depends on the
because
conversation and if
people
they
lie,
think it's her.
and
Oh yeah, for
that's
sure.
what I'm after
Yeah,
is
they do.
how do you vet that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I get that you watch, but I think as Bishop Jake say, he said most of the time you date a person's representative.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
don't meet the real person until you get in the marriage. So if you have a person who is able to at least fake the funk and
Mm-hmm.
make it look like they dealing with certain stuff, but then because and this is one of the things that I kind of said to them, and I said, here's the thing that you have to recognize: that person has known their family all of their life.
Mm-hmm.
They've known you a fraction of that time,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They've known you all their life. They've known you a fraction of that time. Some things take patience,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I get it. And I didn't ask who filed or whatever, but some things take patience.
Right. I was gonna go there next. Yeah, it's just marriage is a risk, period. You know what I'm saying? So automatically, are we a little afraid a lot of times? I think everybody probably to some extent afraid to do it. But that's when you're not leaning on your own understanding and trusting you, but God or Christ, who's supposed to be in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
or the center of that relationship, and totally leaning on that, because things can change, people change, different dynamics, and all of the things. Um, and you can only gather so much data,
Mm-hmm.
or what you can, just from the extent of the courtship. And then after that, it's all on, I'll be like, Christ, it's all on you. But even you too. So making sure you even get a person who's open, and definitely want to work on the relationship just as hard as you do.
Mm-hmm.
From what you can get to know or feel about that person,
Mm-hmm.
to see if they'll work on the relationship. And then, like you say, it's patience, it's time, it's so many different things to work through. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what you do. You work through it. And that's what marriage is about,
Yeah.
working through those hardships.
Yes. 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 Hey, little sis. I don't know how I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did I miss it? Yeah. Some.
That's it. Hey.
No. So listen. So we think about that and being, but it just really, like I feel like I need to do a teaching on removing the fear of marriage,
Mm-hmm.
because I think a lot of societal things have gotten us jacked up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to just ask the question. Anybody listening, put it in the chat. If you're not married, is it a fear or you're scared to get married? And if you are married, was there a fear? Is there still a fear?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but definitely before the I do, was there a fear in walking into or getting married?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us in the comments. Tell us in the chats.
Yeah, because I
Uh,
definitely had a fear. I don't know about you.
Girl, I was terrified.
Oh, okay. I'm just
I
saying
was afraid.
that's
I
normal.
was
Mhm.
petrified. No. I will survive. Yeah, that's my song right there. I
Right.
will survive as long as I know how to love. Yeah,
All right.
all of that. But
But
no,
it
no,
is a
no, no,
good
no.
question, and you hear a lot of people,
Hmm.
um, say that. Do you think it's women that's afraid but more willing to take the risk than men? Because we hear a lot of times men has the commitment issues, or they're not as ready or raising their hand to get married as the women are. It's like, I'm ready, let's walk down this aisle. They planning it out before 2 3 good dates.
Okay.
First date at Cheesecake Factory, and we already talking about the wedding.
Yes, yes. Crystal said yes. I was scared of being married. We had 3 kids already, and not under God's will. Yeah, yeah, and that can be
Thank
scary.
you for your answer and being transparent, but
Yes,
yes,
thank
it
you for
is.
that. Yeah. Because that is a whole different ball game of
Hmm.
like being when you add into the kids, because no one I don't think I don't I think there are very few people who say, yeah, I want to go out and have kids with a guy that I don't plan on being with, or a woman that I
Right.
don't plan on being with, and creating chaos in the life of my children from the beginning. I don't think anyone goes into that, right?
Right.
So then when you have the kids, you like, how can we make this work? How can we figure this out? Can we get married? Should we get married? All of those things. And so, yeah, definitely appreciate that transparency, Crystal,
And
because
then is it a little more scarier now that kids are involved?
yeah,
You
now
know,
once you add kids, especially if you start seeing some things that if the kids were not there and you saw that, you were like, nah, we ain't gonna make it.
red flag,
Can't resist.
can't resist,
Can't resist. Gotta throw it in.
or yellow flag, caution.
Yeah, it's a big sacrifice. The responsibility combining families. Absolutely,
Yes.
sis. It is. It is. It's a big step in commitment. Definitely a little bit scary. Yes, yes, Brandon. It is. It is.
Hmm.
So let me tell our story, and I'll see if I remember it the way you remember it. So we went to the courthouse. We went and did it, and then we had a wedding. A whole bunch of people didn't know we were married.
Hmm.
When I first told my brother like, boy, stop lying. I was like, nah. He looked at me like, you did that for real, did you? I was like, yup. When he got married. So we went to the courthouse. We got married, and I can remember coming out. I know this gonna sound so. Oh, y'all just making up stuff. No, and honey, if I get it wrong, you can
Hmm.
correct me on air. We went out. We came out like we walked in, looking at each other like we're going to do this thing, and we walked out, kind of walking down the hall of Leon County Courthouse, looking the opposite direction, like what in the hell did we just do? Right? That's
Right.
how we looking like, what did we just do? Are we dumb or are we stupid? What we got going on here? And so we did that, and we were in your Acura Integra, and we were going down Parkway. Whichever way we were going, you kind of come up with a hill, and as you're
Hmm.
coming
It's
up
like under that bridge
under that
area.
bridge, and
Hmm.
we came up, and no lie, um, 2 rainbows in the sky. And I don't know how she felt, but I was like, okay, I thank God with us,
Hmm.
but still terrified. But really, like, I thank God with us, even though we don't know what we just got into. I thank God with us,
Right. For
and
me, it was a little sigh of relief.
mm-hmm,
Then I was like, okay, God.
yeah,
And then I'm
yeah,
gonna roll with it.
I'm gonna roll with it. But I know that sound like really like, oh, here they go, they just make it. No,
Mm-mm.
literally we saw 2 rainbows, and there was no rain. And it's like, I don't know how the rainbows. I forget the science, but there were two, not one, two distinct rainbows in the sky.
Hmm.
There's a ribbon in the sky
Right.
for our love.
But we don't necessarily advise just doing what we did because
Yeah.
counsel came after the fact because nobody knew we were married. So it was
Yeah.
like, oh, the wedding is coming up. So we went through all the things. Oh, let's go to premarital counseling
And we didn't really get the full
no.
on that.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I'm
Right.
getting old. I'm yawning at
And then
10 o'clock.
even I don't think we realized it until the church or the wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember it definitely at the courthouse of this should not be entered into lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even though we still had a wedding after the fact, I cried seeing you come down the aisle. It hit differently or something, but I cried. And we had been married. Well, we got married in like,
See if you can do the math.
hold on.
Right.
8 months.
About 9.
Almost 9.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 9. So yeah, so we had been married almost 9 months, and I saw her come down the aisle, and I cried. I cried. I did. Don't call me no crybaby. Hey, when I come to y'all wedding, you bet not shed a tear. Ooh, I'ma clown you if you shed a tear. I'ma clown you. I'ma clown you. And Brandon, well, Brandon ain't said nothing, so he might be down for the cry.
Right.
But yeah, it was a thing, and we got into this very scary thing, uneducated, not understanding what we were getting into, and yeah.
I really admire and respect people though that has been through that and then say I'm scared, but I still want to do it again.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And that is the thing, is like there's that saying, you're gonna be scared but do it anyhow. So there are
Mhm.
gonna be some things that fear doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Fear just means I gotta lean on faith a little bit.
Right. And do we have anyone that's in the audience or can comment if you've been divorced and you're remarried? Was it scarier or even just as scary doing it again? Or if you desire to be married again and you're scared but you still want to get married?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why you got your legs doing the recliner legs? Like you got a recliner under your legs.
I don't know. I just like to do them like that.
You do?
Sometimes.
Thank you for telling me so. Yeah.
So you
Girl.
clowning.
Ooh, girl, you're telling me she's sending signals my way. We finna shut this down. Thank y'all for joining. No, I'm teasing. Hey, no, but it is, and like you said, if you are you got remarried or you've been divorced and you think about getting remarried, if it's scarier the second go around or you kind of felt like you was a vet. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, being scared in marriage, being scared of marriage, because I definitely think I understand all the way around. I understand all the way around why people have a fear of marriage. I understand why, because marriage just, the way marriage is being done these days is just scary. You don't know. You enter marriage. You know what? You used to enter marriage with like a spade game. I got 7 in a strong possible.
Right.
Right? I got a strong possible.
Right.
Now you sitting in here in marriage say just go board.
Right.
Just go board. don't even try that.
I don't
Listen.
even know if I have board.
Yeah, I don't even know if we're gonna make board. Just go
Right.
board, right? In that, we want to be able to walk into marriage and say we're gonna run a Boston. Like we gonna do this thing. That's 13 books. We
For all our
gonna
spade
get
players
every
out
book for every spade player. Yeah,
Mhm.
we gonna get every book.
Right. But I think if you are intentional and you even speak that or set your mind to it, no matter what the hand looks like, because
Mhm.
we've done that before too. We've sat across from each other, played, knowing we don't have but board, if board, But by the time we finish talking and telling you we got all the books, 13, 15, whatever, how many.
You can't get but 13.
Oh, okay. However many books. And we played it in the confidence and we were intentional about getting more than what we even thought we had in our hand. And so that's what you have
Girl,
to do
that's
with
a teaching
marriage.
right
You
there.
have to be intentional
And
about
confident.
it and confident.
Yes, girl, you got, boy, that's
Yeah.
a teaching right there.
Yeah, in this marriage, no
That-
matter what cards are dealt or come your way, you got to be on the same team, just if you were in the spade game. And look, we got this. So you sitting across from each other, doing the eyes, doing whatever it is, but we got this.
Yeah. Angela said first marriage for 10 years and divorce. In my second marriage for 23 years, never scared. I always wanted my Boaz since a young girl. All right. That's
now.
what it is. That's what it is.
Angela. Yes.
Ooh, I'm going to develop a whole teaching around playing spades.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to develop a whole marriage teaching around
Right.
playing spades. Because I'm going to tell you something. It's this guy. And this when I first gained my real confidence in playing spades. So we was playing and I was playing against him. And he said, you know why? He said, you know why you don't win more books? And I was like, nah. And he said because you don't play with no confidence.
Mm-hmm.
He said, see, when you play with confidence, you can make your enemy, your other person playing against you, misplay their hand and you pick up a book you wasn't even supposed to get
Right.
because of your confidence.
Exactly.
He said, if you start playing with confidence, you'll win more books. And I want to say 2 hands after that, we ran to Boston. I like, oh, okay. And I'm sitting here looking in my hand, not when we ran to Boston, because when we ran to Boston, my partner thought I was crazy, but I had to went full confidence. I'm looking, I say, partner, how many you got? And they told me how many they got, and I said, how them strong? They like, yeah, I get you a strong 3. I say, all right, well I'm gonna be at 10. Let's go 13. 13. They looking at it. Oh, we finna sat them. We finna sat. Man, we ran that Boston to perfection, and that's the only Boston I ever got.
Right. But I even like to, even if we think it's less, if you're confident that you can get those other 2 or 3 or whatever, you putting that bigger number out there.
Yes, R.I.P. Edith. She endured watching my wife overbid, and then we'll get. Well, I thought, and but you gotta have confidence.
You do.
You gotta have confidence
until you learn, and like you say, hey, you make the other person give away their spades, assuming that your hand is bigger or better, and so they give up their good books first.
Yeah.
So
one of the things I learned playing spades, and we're gonna stop talking about spades. All black folks can't play spades. Is sometimes, and I learned this trick. Somebody taught me. They say sometimes you got to create a new spade. So they would draw the spades out, and they had a handful of hearts. Now that heart, because they were the only one, and they just got in lead, and then it became a new spade. So you got to be unconventional sometimes.
Yeah.
In getting your victory in your marriage.
Yeah.
But you got to be
unconventional and intentional.
Unconventional, intentional, and confident. I got to be confident that don't put me on the table. No, we ain't putting you at the table. We are not doing. I felt that in my spirit that you couldn't play spades, sis. I felt that in my spirit. Yeah. No, we really, you got to be confident, intentional, and what you said the other one was unconventional to win at marriage. It's gonna take some time that you got to do things a little bit different.
Right.
Let's talk about stupid stuff in marriage. Stupid marriage decisions. Now, we ain't had these decisions. I'm finna tell y'all some stories. Y'all ready? It's story time. So this is another one of those things when we talk about modern marriages and people want to do stuff. So when we talk about unconventional, what we're about to talk about is not what we mean by unconventional. Okay? Right. Y'all get that? Get that out. It's story time. I wish I had some hot cocoa and I feel like I ought to tell you some story time. Put my glasses right on the bridge of my nose and look down at you. But here's story time. There was this couple, not a couple we coach. just I hear, because I'm in the relationship space, we're in the relationship space, I hear a lot of interesting stories.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this couple. They got married. And a little while after they got married, the husband approached the wife about doing an open marriage just to keep a little bit of spice in their marriage. And they agreed, she agreed to an open marriage. But in the beginning of open marriage, she wasn't really interested in going to get nobody. She wasn't interested. But he played by the rules, let her know when he had somebody, agreed and got approval to go on his, his rendezvous or whatever. And she was perfectly fine with that for a season. Then one day she decided she wanted to get in the game.
Mm.
Now, I'm going to tell y'all, if you didn't know, all this led to a divorce, but I'm going to tell you how and why. So she decided she wanted to get in the game. So she had found her someone that was digging her, and she wanted to give him a test drive. So she told her husband, like, hey, I found someone. I'm going to be meeting them later this week. I just wanted you to know, because that's what we agreed on. He became livid. What you mean you found someone? She's like, oh, I didn't question your who. I didn't question what. We had our rules. One of their rules is you don't get people that's going to be in our face and that kind of stuff, but you do whatever. Oh, he got livid. You ain't going to do that. That ain't right. Da, 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 da. So it's at that time she finally figured out that open marriage means he could be open.
Right. One side open.
Yeah. But she couldn't be open. Well, like I said, needless to say, that ended in some divorce. Because he could not tolerate her having someone like she tolerated him having someone.
Right.
And this is another story from Stupid Tales of Marriage.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, what is y'all opinion? No, I ain't gonna ask y'all that because I don't want y'all to put that out in public. Don't you do that. Don't you, never mind. Even if you know what I was finna ask, don't you answer that. But what are y'all thoughts on the story? Should he have gotten upset? Should he have tried to trick her so he could get what he wanted?
Manipulate. Yeah.
Right? Manipulate her and make her feel like she was doing something wrong when the reality is he was doing something wrong.
Right.
Here's the thing that I didn't figure this out until later in life, and it is after we was married. Why God never wanted us to have sex before marriage. Marriage opens up things, or sex opens up things in you from a spiritual, psychological, physical, emotional perspective. Sex opens up some stuff.
Right.
And once you get married, and this is something I would tell anyone, and it's something that, again, we had to learn over time, is once you get married, you actually have to, that spiritual stuff, you have to file for spiritual divorce from all of the people that you have married yourself to through sex, because sex is God's marriage ceremony. Always has been.
Right. You have to actually have a ceremony to break those covenants.
Yes.
Of premarital sex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And some people are still
just because a lot of times things are happening in your marriage that you have no clue or idea where they're coming from, and they're coming from those past relationships and the spiritual things or aspects that come along with that.
Yeah. Yep. And that's something that we don't think about. We don't get into. We don't understand. We just go into marriage, and you feel like because you're out of the physical presence of that person, that you're out of the spiritual presence of that person.
Right.
it is a spiritual act to break. I don't even like get into
Yeah,
soul
it's more
ties
than
and this and
physical.
that, but it is a spiritual. You have to go in spiritually and break. I like what you said. Break those covenants, because every time you have sex with someone, you are creating a covenant with them. Jesus, when he was talking to the woman at the
And a
well,
covenant of marriage, you got to read your Bibles.
yeah, a covenant of marriage. And what Jesus was talking to the woman at the well, and she was like, tell me this, and he's like, oh, go get your husband, then I tell you. Jesus being,
Case in point.
he wasn't being petty, but he was being petty. He said, go get your husband.
Right.
And she like, oh, I don't have a husband. He was like, and you're right, and the one you with now ain't your husband.
You've had 5.
You've had 5, and the one you with now ain't your husband.
Right.
So what was Jesus telling her? You've entered into a lot of marriages, and all of them are illegal because of whatever your activity is, your sexual activity that's bringing you into covenant with men that are not your husband.
Right, because it's more than just a physical act.
It is. It is. I was interviewing Coach Fuller recently, and we talked about marriage, and he said something that was really interesting. And he said this about blended family. Ooh, y'all make sure y'all watch that podcast episode, because he had a blended family, or has a blended family. His wife had kids before, whatever. You have to listen to the podcast episode. But he said something so powerful. He said something so powerful. And I had never thought about it this way. Because when you study covenants, most covenants were cut by blood, or there was salt involved. I have to go back into my studies to figure out the why on the salt. I know that salt is a preservative, but there's that. He said, when you blend a family, you got to remember the mother. Let's say if the mother is if she's the biological of the children, so they're your stepchildren. He said there's 2 covenants operating in that house, and really 3. The mother has a covenant with the children she birthed, because she birthed them through blood.
Right.
She then has a covenant with her husband. Then when they have children together, she has covenant with those children, and now he has a covenant with those children because he planted them. Right? And when he said that, it started opening my mind up to a whole nother issue, or a whole nother challenge that comes along with blending a family. Because what happens is, if I have 2 to 3 covenants operating under one roof, conflict is bound to happen.
Yeah.
So the real thing I have to do is figure out how I bring the covenants into one. Oh, come on, God.
Right.
Watch this. Watch this. So when Jesus came to the earth, God only had a covenant with the people, the children of Israel. Through the shedding of the blood on the cross, he created an opportunity for a covenant with the rest of the world. So what he did is he said, now I got to take one covenant, kill that covenant, and create a new covenant that now covers all. So now when a blended family comes together, one of the things you got to do is kill the multi-covenants that are living under that one roof.
Right, because first covenant was law, second covenant was grace.
Yeah. So now I got
the first one.
Yes. Now I gotta study this thing, because I really want to help blended families. Because how do I break the covenants? How do I combine the covenants to the point that we have one covenant, so that the stepfather or the stepmother can now have a covenant with those children? And man, you just got to watch the episode. It drops tomorrow, because he said some stuff that it triggered my brain, and I went deeper in it after the episode, just thinking about it.
Right, and we'll have to get together and talk about it more, have a special Bible study or a teaching just from the spiritual aspect of this, and breaking it down so people really get full context and understand. Because it can be confusing, and you can be, if you're not in a spiritual place, kind of understand what these covenants are, what they really mean, how do you break them, how do you enter into them. People are in covenants that they don't even realize that they're in, and then how to break those, how to denounce those, how to talk about those, so you can be free and live your life freely.
Yes. Yes.
But yes, that was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. That was when he was dropping that today. I was like, oh.
Yes, you
Yeah.
have questions.
You
Let us
have
know what your
questions.
questions are.
Yeah.
We'll see if
Drop
we can
those
answer.
questions. Drop those questions.
Hmm.
Because it's a powerful thing,
Mhm.
covenant.
Yeah.
Because it is and I had never thought about that. When a mother births a child,
Hmm.
she cuts covenant with that child
Right.
through the blood. When that covenant happens under the greater covenant of marriage,
Hmm.
you have no covenant conflict.
Right.
Come on,
And that's
covenant
why he
conflict.
has the order that he has. A lot of times we think God did things um, a certain way for a certain reason, which he did, but he has a divine order
Mm-hmm.
of how things should go and a will. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, he gave us free will to operate in that or no.
Mm-hmm.
But he always had a way back for us to redeem us back to the original will and
Mm-hmm.
order.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not always easy,
Mm-hmm.
but it's obedient, and that's what we're supposed to do. So,
One of the things that we have to realize, and I say this all the time, this about to become Bible study. God is a God of systems.
mhm,
If you just pay attention to God, God is a God of systems.
right,
God is a God of symbols. If you really want to understand God, you got to understand his systems and his symbols.
mhm,
When you really get into understanding his systems,
right,
and I'm gonna go here. So people look at, you can talk to a lot of pastors and they'll look at you in the Bible. If you sit down with me, and I don't care what it is, you can drop it in comment and ask the question on this. If you take anything that God has listed as a sin, I can show you, help you understand why God says it's a sin.
mhm.
Most preachers cannot do that. They just say, "Well, this is what the Word of God says, and that's what it is, and so we just got to follow it."
It's like when you were younger,
Uh-huh.
you asked your parents something because I
See,
said so, and that's
because I
what it
said
is,
so.
because they didn't want to explain it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they want to explain, because they didn't know themselves.
Mhm.
But there's a reason.
Sometimes.
Sometimes every sin, there's a reason why God called it a sin. Every time, every sin, everything that they say, and this is why I think that's important.
Right.
Oh man, the reason it's important is because just telling somebody not to do it actually makes them want to do it more. But when they get an understanding
Right.
of it,
Even after you've done it and you
mm-hmm.
get the understanding, thank God for grace, right?
Yeah,
Because it's not that we teach or beat up on people about being perfect, because we definitely have all fallen short, still falling short on some things, and probably will until we leave this earth. But just recognizing growth and
mm-hmm.
grace, and why grace is there
Mm-hmm.
for you to grow into the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge and understanding of a lot of things. And once you know better, you grow better, or you
Yeah,
do better.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
grace is not for us to abuse. Paul
Mhm.
says, "Heaven forbid." Shall I continue to sin that grace abound? Nope,
Mhm.
nope. Paul said, "Heaven forbid." So grace is there for me to learn while I'm walking in my ignorance,
Mhm.
not for me to be fully aware and say I'm gonna still do it. And God knows my heart. That
Right.
that ain't what grace is about.
And that's the same thing in marriage. That
Yeah,
grace is why they're walking in ignorance, or something that they haven't learned or know. But if they are unwilling to learn
yeah.
it,
If they're unwilling to learn it, or they know it but they're taking advantage of the
mhm,
fact that you show grace, yeah, that's a different type of problem.
right.
That's a different type of problem.
Mhm.
So yeah. Any sin that you have that we've been told is a sin, God has a reason. I'm gonna give you the real high level, and you can just look at it and think through it, because I want you to remember what I just told you. God is a God of systems. God is a God of symbols. Okay. Anything that breaks God's system is a sin. That's all you really at a high level, that's what you
Right.
have to understand.
Mhm.
Anything that breaks a system, anything that violates a system, anything that perverts a symbol is a sin. That's what you have to understand.
Right.
Now you go through and think about the things that God, think about the systems of God, then think about the sins, and you'll understand why it's a sin, because it broke his system. Okay, we gonna get off that. We gonna get off that.
Okay.
What you got? Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
What was our two things? Afraid or being scared of marriage,
Uh huh.
and then breaking covenants
Yeah.
in marriage, before marriage,
Uh huh.
after marriage.
Yeah. Breaking covenants. Breaking covenants. Next week, God continue to bless. We are going to have
Bless you.
Pastor Ken and Tanisha Colvin on with us.
Mhm.
God continues to bless. They'll be joining us on next Wednesday. Next Wednesday night, we'll be putting that out. Again, Honey Love Academy, Miss Erica Holton was not able to make it. She was under the weather. She let us know. We didn't want to cause confusion because we didn't want y'all to think we weren't going to be here, because we're going to be here regardless.
Right.
But we are going to get her rescheduled,
Yes.
and because we've been on her show before.
Mhm.
She's been on Marriage Refresh way back when.
We did
and-
just podcast, right?
just a podcast
Oh no,
or
it was
something
live. It was
live,
alive. Mhm.
and she really she has some good insight for single women, some good insight for single women who are looking to get married, and how to attract marriage minded men.
Right.
And so
Mhm.
that's one of those things we definitely will be having. Pastor Ken and Tanisha Colvin, we're going to be talking with them. We're going to be talking about some marriage and ministry with them, and the impacts of marriage and ministry. Ministry has on marriage. So we're
Right.
going to be doing that on next week. Listen, if y'all got any topics, any guests that you want to see come on Late Night Marriage with the Riches, tell them to hit
Let
us
us
up.
know.
Let
Mhm.
us know. DM us. Go somewhere. I think it's on our site or something. Just hit us up. Hit us up. And we'll be happy to bring them on and have some diverse conversation with them.
Mhm.
Do y'all have any questions or comments before we get out of here?
No, I was just thinking after we bring Erica on and talk about attracting the spouse that you want or you desire, I think a good one would be um, not only attracting, but how to become the spouse that you desire or you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times um, people have a tendency to compare a look outside of their relationship or marriage and go, oh, it's too late now, wanting to be single, start all over again, and all of the things. When actually you can start right there within the marriage and still
Yeah.
get the outcome or the person that you desire.
Exactly. Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I really just want people to grow, people to understand, like, marriage is God's, that's what he put here, to put dominion over the earth. So marriages are going to always be under attack,
Mm-hmm.
but you
Yeah.
have to be
Always.
diligent, consistent, and alert and willing if you want your marriage if you want to start your marriage strong, or you want to strengthen your marriage. We talked about this on the podcast today too. Some people, so there's a story in the Bible, and it talks about two men building a house.
Mm-hmm.
And it says one, he kind of found some good ground, and it looked ground. And in that season, that ground looked good. In that season, that ground was firm. I come from Georgia. You heard me do this a video on this. I come from Georgia, and when it's real dry, that clay crack and it looked real firm. You can
Mm-hmm.
walk on it without slipping and sliding. But you get a little bit of water,
Mm-hmm.
and that clay
A
starts
good
to slide,
rain.
move, and shift and everything. So this man found a spot that looked good in its season, which means he was only thinking about that day.
Mm-hmm.
It looked
And that
good in
season.
its season,
Mm-hmm.
right? He wasn't thinking about winter. He wasn't thinking about, spring or fall. He was only thinking about whatever that season was that looked good to him. Okay. We do a teaching about the seasons,
Mm-hmm.
the seasons of life, the seasons of relationships. And I'll share something real quick with you about that in just a minute. But the second man came and he found ground that looked good in that season.
Right.
But he said, I know it's going to be some other seasons coming.
Mm-hmm.
So let me dig down and make sure I have a firm foundation to build my house on. Then it says that the winds came, the winds blew, rain came, and one house got swept away and one house stood. Stop building your marriage on sand. Stop building your marriage based on what things look like today.
Mm-hmm.
Look down the road and say, if things change, if the worst happens, if the worst comes, if the challenges come, am I going to still be able to look at them the same? Am I going to still be able to walk with them the same?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that down the road.
Right.
Don't
Not
marry
building.
what you see today.
Mm-hmm.
Marry what it could be tomorrow, and tomorrow could be good or bad.
Right. Not building it on just your feelings.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm. Your
saying.
emotions. All
Yeah.
of that is saying.
Listen, if somebody tell you they fell in love with you, run.
No, do not run. Do not run.
I ain't gonna say they don't run, but just know if they can fall in love, they can fall out of love. I don't want you to um fall in love with me. I want you to choose to love me
Mm-hmm.
every day. Choose to love me.
Yep. It's a choice.
It's a choice. Here's what I would tell you about the seasons, really quick. There's winter. It represents some spring, summer, fall. In those various seasons, there are storms that are more prevalent. During summer and spring, tornadoes are more prevalent. Also, hurricanes, depending on where you live at. During winter, blizzards are more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things represent something. And if you want us to do a teaching on it, you want us to cover it in the episode, let us know in the comments and we will do a full teaching on. Matter of fact, we'll do just a Zoom on it where you can get up close and personal and ask some questions, and we'll teach about the seasons of relationships, and you'll learn a lot out of it. But I'll cover one storm. It happens usually in the spring or the summer, which is tornadoes. Tornadoes are those things that pop up in your relationship suddenly. You see rain, you hear lightning, you see lightning, you hear thunder, right? And they say there's a tornado warning. Tornadoes are unpredictable. They're fast moving and they do a lot of damage in a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
When you recognize the tornado warning signs, take cover for your marriage, take cover for your relationship, get to safety. Because the thing about a tornado is when it comes and it hits a house and it's so unpredictable, it'll touch parts of your life you didn't expect it to touch, while leaving the parts that you did think it was going to touch untouched.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen one of those pictures and the tornado went through there and it's 25 houses laid out and one house was standing strong? Nothing happened to that house.
Right. Or it's gotten the house here and the one right next to it didn't touch.
Didn't touch it. Tornadoes are unpredictable. Tornadoes might look like sudden deaths that happen in families, right? That elderly, not even that elderly person, that parent that just out of nowhere death comes, or they get sick and it throws you into chaos because you weren't expecting it.
And I'm not even just going to say that parent. A lot of times people deal with losing a child. And that is definitely.
They do.
Yeah,
I don't want to limit it to just children.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to throw children and death in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying a tornado.
All right.
Unexpected, but I don't want to limit it to death, the loss of a job.
No. But all
Right.
of those things, I think a lot of times we're not realistic about all of the things across the board. Because for years, when we get even examples of things or whatever, and we like, oh yeah, that could happen, that could happen. When you get in marriage, there are things that you would never imagine a lot of
Mhm.
times while talking about storms that would even happen
Yeah.
in your marriage or relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about tornadoes is you have limited time to prepare.
Right.
You have limited warning, and it does a lot of destruction real quick. Unlike hurricanes, where you can see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason the hurricane might destroy your home, but it doesn't have to take your life. In this instance, when I say life, it doesn't have to destroy your marriage. It can destroy your home, but that only happens if you heed the warnings.
Mm-hmm.
That only happens when you prepare the home for the storm. That only happens when you evacuate the region that's a danger to your marriage.
Right.
So that's just the tip of the iceberg on teaching about the seasons
Mm-hmm.
and such. And I just real quick, you drop this in the comments and we finna go. Which season, summer, spring, winter, fall, do you think is the most beneficial to marriage?
Mm-hmm.
Which season, summer, spring, just think about them. What happens in spring, what happens in summer, what happens in winter, what happens in fall. Which season do you think is the most beneficial for marriage? Y'all can drop that in the comments. You can hit it in the DMs, however you want to do it. Tell us which season you think is the most beneficial for marriage and relationships. That's all we got for you tonight. Listen, we thank you for rocking with us. I can't wait to see your answers. God has really been good. We thank you for rocking with us tonight. Listen, until next episode of Late Night Marriage with the Riches. Hey, no, I got another question. Drop this in the comments too, and then we finna go off air. What's the next late night? What's the next late night marriage of legs? Woo, sis. All right. Fall or winter. Okay. What next late night live marriage event would y'all like to see us do? I know we're gonna have Balance of the Sexes in April. But what we got a lot of people after the fact, like, oh, let us know the next time y'all doing a marriage relationship and wine. We want to do relationship and wine. Oh, I heard it was so good. Yeah, we're gonna do another one of those. We'll probably wait till the spring or a little further in the spring. But what y'all want to see next? Listen, that's all we got for you tonight. We out of here. Continue to drop your comments. We'll be checking them out. Thank you for tuning in and checking in with Late Night Marriage with the Riches. And we will remember, it is lights off, transparency on. We'll see you on the next video.
Good night. We love you.
More of them people, no kisses.
For real.